Fire, 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 fire.
Jonah Hill can't do anything right? What? No way. This guy just is an actor. Toxic, snob, rude, fat, insecure, genius, abusive, funny. Some of these labels can be attributed to me.
Jonah Hill
Mostly
once
the fat
said,
one.
I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person.
That's
and
fair.
then spent his whole career proving exactly that. Everybody has a different perception
Honestly, if you tell a paparazzi to fuck off, I respect that.
of Jonah. Some
Those
see him
people do
simply
not
as a
deserve
comedy film
respect.
legend. Some see a self-important nepo baby who takes himself too seriously. Others see
Okay.
a toxic man-child who weaponizes therapy speak to control his
Man-child.
girlfriend. And if they aren't
Ooh.
talking about any of those things, they are hyper-focused on his weight loss and weight gain, gawking at him like some sort of zoo animal.
See, this is what I mean. Like, the paparazzi won't leave him the frick alone.
Over the years, Jonah has attempted
Yeah,
to respond to
I get
all of the
that.
hatred towards him, but every time he does, things only get worse. Critics and fans never seem to be satisfied, making it seem like he just can't do anything right.
I came up like, you know, in
Fuck
goofy
the
comedies
haters.
and this kind of like curly-haired, overweight kid, and everyone had their own opinion on what I should be, how they could speak to me, how they could treat me.
Jonah Hill went from a
Yeah,
complete
I get
nobody
it.
to securing roles in countless early 2000s comedy bangers. The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Grandma's Boy, Click, Accepted, Knocked Up,
Some people get shoehorned into these roles because of how they look. Yeah, I get it.
Almighty. In 2 short years, he became a reliable secondary or tertiary
The fat
character that would give
comedian.
audiences funny moments.
Ask me about my winner!
However, it's unsurprising that Jonah got so many opportunities early on, considering he fits the standard definition of a Hollywood nepo baby. Jonah's father, Richard
Oh.
Feldstein, is an extremely successful Hollywood business manager who manages the business and financial affairs of high net worth and high income clients. Richard started
That's a
as an
job.
accountant for various Hollywood acts, and notably served as the accountant for the iconic rock band Guns N' Roses.
Ooh,
Jonah's mother,
that's a big
Sharon
deal.
Feldstein, is a costume and fashion designer in Hollywood. Her first big job was working as an assistant to Mr. Daniels, who was the executive producer, on the set of the popular 70s and
The
80s show
Taxi,
Taxi, and
yeah.
from there worked on various popular 80s and 90s
Okay, he's
TV
pretty
productions.
popular. Yeah, he
Jonah
could-
grew up in Hollywood, and with his parents' connections, he had too big of an advantage to fail. Then again, he proved to the world that his parents weren't the only reason he would be successful after his hilarious performance in the smash hit Superbad. Superbad was written by Seth Rogen and his childhood best friend Evan Goldberg to
was about
loosely
them,
resemble
yeah.
their real experiences as teenagers. Teenage Seth would be played by Jonah Hill, making it his first leading role on a major Hollywood set. Jonah knew
McLovin,
this was his
yeah.
biggest opportunity to date, so he wanted to make sure everything went perfect. He did not hold back from letting everyone know that he did not
He
want
hated
Christopher
this guy.
Mintz-Plasse to get the role of Fogel, aka McLovin. Immediately after Chris's audition, Jonah Hill was like, not that guy. In the film,
Like, I remember I didn't even know what this movie was, and there was a rogue on my server called McLovin.
Seth and
That's how
Fogel have
famous this-
animosity
this
towards each
movie
other,
is.
which was also the case behind the scenes.
McLovin,
Seth Rogen
yeah.
said, Jonah effing hated him. He was all over Jonah's lines, completely disrespectful of the process, probably due to a lack of experience. Then Jonah said, Chris just immediately shut me down. So combative. I was really annoyed
Okay.
because this guy wouldn't let me say anything.
Jonah
just a
Hill hated
dickhead.
me so much after my audition. I walked out. I get it. I was 17. I was not a professional actor.
was
I
just
kinda went
arrogant. He
in-
was being a
I was
dickhead.
in high school, and we're playing high school kids. So like Jonah's roasting me, and you remember being in high school. You were just like, yeah, it's my buddy roasting me. It's not gonna bother me. I'm gonna roast him back, and that's what I did in the audition. And I left the room. I was like, oh my god, Seth signed my script. Nothing's gonna happen. Oh my god. And Jonah's like, that guy. To like Judd Apatow and Greg Mottola and Seth Rogen. He's like, that guy. Don't cast that guy.
Oh,
And they all said, we gotta cast that guy.
After Jonah told director Judd
Oh.
Apatow not to hire Chris, he
they
said,
literally said that's exactly why we're hiring him, because of the chemistry, because they do hate each other. That's kind of like ingenious, yeah.
That's exactly why we're hiring
'Cause in the
him. It
movie,
couldn't
they
be
hate
more
each other. They
perfect.
fucking
The
shit
fact
on
that it
each other all
bothers
the
you Is
time.
exactly what we want, and their intuition was
Crazy.
right. Jonah despising Chris only helped the hilarious dynamic between their characters
Yeah.
on screen.
Didn't you say something to me?
I wasn't with you when you parked.
Yeah, but dude, you saw from afar that I was parking there. You should have
I didn't think we were gonna
I
be that long.
think we're gonna be that long.
You're so stupid.
Since McLovin became nothing short of a cultural icon after the
Yep.
movie's release, Jonah's contempt for him makes him seem like a jealous co-star in hindsight. Despite having far less screen time than Jonah, McLovin stole the spotlight. Maybe Jonah knew Chris was great and tried to prevent his casting to make himself look better. Or maybe he was just young, working on a life-changing project, and his stress was through the roof. But
Yeah,
you'll
it could
notice
be
Jonah's
anything. They're fucking 17 years old too.
behavior would grow to become more of a pattern as the years went on. Jonah's role as Seth is considered by many to be the best work of his entire career. He delivered countless hilarious moments that remain quotable 20 years later.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go piss your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago.
People don't forget.
Superbad became one of the most successful,
Yeah, but
and
don't
my personal
forget.
favorite, early 2000s comedy films, securing $300 million when
Superbad.
including revenue from DVD sales. Unfortunately,
Lot.
it also cemented Jonah Hill as the
As the
funny
fat
fat
kid.
guy of Hollywood.
Jonah, do you think it's important to be unattractive to be funny?
What?
Can skinny people?
Dude, even... Did you see that?
Can skinny people be funny?
I don't think it has besides just being funny and like being yourself.
How heavy were you in Evan Almighty?
I just don't think
Who fucking cares, you retard? Yeah, like, I'm on his side, bro.
it's like I don't think it has anything to do with like what
Even though that interview clip was a comedic sketch, it does
Oh,
accurately
was it?
reflect the way reporters and the general public
Okay,
treated
never
Jonah.
mind. It
Hollywood
was a
determined
sketch.
that his weight was a
I fell
defining
for
trait that
that.
made him valuable. He often got cast as the overweight,
Where are the
awkward guy
idiots,
who
chat?
constantly was the butt of the joke. It even defined his iconic role in Superbad. But unfortunately for Jonah, his on-screen image also defined his real life too. You see, comedies have a way of blurring the line between the character and the real-life actor. Comedy films often look like normal people hanging out and saying funny
That's the whole point.
things. And because of that, audiences often assume what they're seeing is just an exaggerated version of the actor's real personality. And for Jonah, that meant a lot of people didn't see him as someone playing a role. They saw him as the funny fat guy. And nobody knew it yet, but Jonah despised this. And he knew if he kept accepting the role as the
It's gonna
funny
keep
fat guy,
happening,
then
yep.
he would never be able to escape this caricature of himself.
I think Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe had the same issue as well, apparently. They kept wanting to like hire him for like these like fantasy cutesy roles, and he just went completely opposite. I think he did some sort of weird, not weird, but like kind of like almost just risque adult type like he went super far. Like the pendulum swung the other way. Like what was it, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? Yeah, like that kind of thing. Like it's hard to break out of it.
From there, he did take on secondary roles in films like Strange Wilderness, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and Funny People, but none matched the success of Superbad. And while voice acting roles in
Sarah
How to
Marshall
Train
was
Your
pretty
Dragon
popular.
and Megamind kept him
Oh,
paid, in
Megamind,
2011 he made
yes!
efforts to establish
Yeah, I
himself
remember
as a
that.
legitimate actor after he landed a major role in the sports drama Moneyball alongside well-respected actors like Brad Pitt and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Moneyball was one of those rare films that
This was a
loved by both
popular one,
critics
too.
and fans. Jonah's performance was so great, it earned him his first Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor,
Oh.
which you could tell he felt was a major highlight
That's a
of his
big
career.
deal.
I hope
Sure.
it never sinks in a real way because
This was before the DEI.
it's just so exciting, man, you know, for my family. And when you say you want to become an actor, it just, you know, you shouldn't ever do things for awards or things like that. You should do them because you love them. But something like this just says, hey, you're maybe supposed to be doing the profession you're doing.
But Jonah still had a lot to prove, even to his co-star Brad Pitt. In a promotional interview for Moneyball, Brad heavily implied that Jonah was not a serious actor.
if you
Was this a bit too, or was this real?
could adopt a personality trait or mannerism from one of your Moneyball co-stars, what would it be?
What would it be? A personality
Any one of
trait?
them. If they're sitting right here, that could be one of them. If it's Phil Hoffman, whatever.
No. I got to go with a serious actor.
Okay.
As if his co-star calling
Jesus
him unserious
Christ.
wasn't bad enough.
I think
Jonah's
it's a skit. I don't know. I don't know.
His worst
Hard to
nightmare
tell.
started coming true. Instead of his performance
Damn, if
being
it's
the
real,
main
that
topic
might
of
have been, like,
conversation,
bummer.
his physical appearance was becoming central to his identity. After
Oh.
Moneyball, he started trying to slim down a
Oh.
bit, and tabloids about Jonah
Brad's an
frequently
ass.
made
Yeah,
comments about
true.
his weight, writing things like, Jonah
See,
Hill
this is what I find cringe. Like, they do it to men and women, too.
looks like he's regained
Oh my
all
God,
the
he's
weight
fat.
he lost
Oh my
a
God,
while
he's
back, and
skinny.
his
Oh my
fans
God,
couldn't
he's
be
fat.
happier. Hey, they're just thinking about his career, implying that he can't be considered funny if he loses weight. You could tell that Jonah tried to downplay his weight loss, as he definitely did not want all of his interviews to devolve into just talking about his body.
All my friends were in college, so I was living like a frat guy.
Yeah.
Like everyone was just drinking beer and eating
Yeah.
pizza
Fast
with all my
food,
friends.
yeah.
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 And you know, as I mature, you know, even with this movie, I'm maturing as an actor and growing up
Yeah.
and in front of everybody's eyes. It's like you just a certain time where you go, all right, it's time to be a responsible adult. You gotta
Yeah.
be, you gotta be stop being a kid.
Your
at some
frontal,
point, you
your
know?
frontal lobe actually develops a little bit.
Build up to it, or it's just like one day and
No,
I'm
it
like,
was one day
that's
I
it.
made a I was
Wow.
like looked up a nutritionist and called him
Wow.
up and went and.
Do you mind me asking how much weight you've lost? Or
I don't mind at all. I just
Okay.
don't know. I
Okay.
didn't know
All right.
before or
Yeah.
after, whatever.
Did you ever worry that people would perceive you differently? I talked to Seth about that when he lost a bunch of weight. You know?
No, you know, it's so funny. I think people make such a big deal about that, but I think if anything, it's like you can do all kinds of parts now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like when you're a big guy, you can't play a thin guy.
You're limited,
It's
yeah.
impossible
Yeah.
unless you use that
But
like
they can put
Captain
some
America
pads
That's a
on
good
digital
point.
stuff or whatever.
Are you getting hotter chicks?
Oh man, no man, don't worry about that.
No. See, this guy doesn't get it. The chicks don't care. He's got a lot of money.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I you know, have a lady. That's great.
But eventually,
Have a
he would
lady,
shut
that's
down
great.
interviewers bringing up the subject completely.
But are you still considered the fat guy when you go to a party or anything? Because I run into that a whole lot. I'm the fat one. So are you the fat
Okay.
guy in Hollywood still, or is everybody like look at you and they're like, oh wow, you know, this is great. Now you're healthy.
Okay, this one's not a skit.
Do you have any other questions?
Another question.
You're smart.
For a while,
No,
Jonah handled these types of
man!
comments like a pro, laughing it off or just avoid engaging with it at all. Because when you're a celebrity of his scale, there's a
that one was
pressure to stay
real.
composed. Don't overreact or give anyone a moment they can turn into a headline. Because if they crash out, then that becomes
Yes!
the story. Jonah eventually
Yes.
starting giving critics
And then the interviewers, these stupid journalists, they start fucking probing at you, and if you freak out, then yeah, you're giving them what they want.
piece of his mind, which did not fix anything. It actually made his life much worse. After meeting Jonah in person back in 2012, CNN anchor Don Lemon tweeted, "Said hi to Jonah Hill in a hotel. Think he thought I was a bellman. I didn't know his name till the bellman told me. A lesson to always be kind." And before we get into Jonah's response, this tweet is a
Don Lemon is a fuck and a half, bro. Like,
perfect example of
I'm
how
not gonna take his opinion seriously, okay?
Jonah Hill simply could not do anything
That
right
guy's
to
an
satisfy the
idiot.
media. In
That
the
guy's
same
a
breath,
clown.
Don downplays Jonah Hill by saying he didn't even know who he was.
He doesn't have to know who. What the fuck? What? What if he's just not into politics, or like he doesn't even know who you are? I only know Don Lemon because fucking Asmund made fun of him a lot. Like, I know the name through my boomer fucking parents' friends that talk about politics. Who's Don Lemon? And it's just some dude. Doesn't matter. Literally, just
essentially
a
implying
clown
that
on
he's
TV.
not that important, but still expects
does
Jonah
not
to
matter,
respond to him
legitimately.
with a certain level of warmth and respect. It's this weird double standard where a celebrity can be reduced to just some guy, but still expected to act like a celebrity. Unfortunately, Jonah's response only further painted him as emotionally insecure. "I said hi, what do you want me to do? Move in with you? I was in a hurry. Didn't realize you were a 12-year-old girl. Peace." He continued, "I walked out of the restroom and found you waiting for me. Shook hands, said hi, and was on my way."
What else does he want? The fuck?
Sorry if you found that rude. Don replied, was waiting for luggage. Bellman and I laughed at how self-important you were. Just being honest. Be nice. Stardom is fleeting. But Don couldn't be more wrong about his stardom because Jonah was skyrocketing in success at the time, proving he was still a comedy powerhouse with the release of 21 Jump Street, which grossed over $200 million at the worldwide box office, and once again gave us hilarious moments that will be quoted for a lifetime.
We're not finger popping each other's assholes. What we're doing is getting done.
But as Jonah's star power increased, his inability to let things roll off his shoulders would get worse as time
21 Jump Street was like goated. I remember it was a pretty good movie.
on. In 2013,
I
Jonah
haven't
was
seen it
interviewed
since
by
it
the
came
Rolling
out,
Stone
so I don't remember
alongside Seth
anything.
Rogen in anticipation
was
of his
goated.
upcoming film, This Is the End, which is a stoner comedy about a bunch of potheads facing the apocalypse. However, the interviewers seemed entirely unhappy with
Jesus
Jonah's
Christ.
responses. Seth, we say, coming out of our reverie. No, I'm Jonah, Hill says blankly. That's a great way to start. We blanch, sputter, cough, and try to explain.
See, that's where I think it's also cringe. It's like comparing you to other people constantly.
Ourselves, but Hill is apparently in no mood to cut anyone any slack, which may just be how he is. He is serious. He is, which I'm not, and neither are Franco or Danny, Rogan had told us. By starting the interview off referring to him as
They're
Seth,
provoking,
Jonah is being
yeah.
reduced to the superbad character people refuse to let him outgrow. And the moment he pushes back, not even aggressively, just correcting it, now he's the problem, because to the interviewers, they were just joking. They try to break the ice and begin talking about exercising, to which Jonah replies, "My workout routine is of little relevance."
Is he wrong though? What?
For a while, they converse with Jonah,
Yeah,
and it
they're
goes
poking
smoothly
at him.
until they ask a question that pisses him off. Like when they asked, "What kind of a farter is he?"
What did I say about like people hiding their poorly disguised fetishes? This is what I mean. The people that that poorly hide their fucking fetish. What?
His eyes nearly jump out of their sockets. I'm not
Yeah,
answering that dumb
it's a
question.
retarded
I'm not that kind of
question.
person. Being in a funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions. It has nothing to do with who I am. Jonah continued, "I've done one of the biggest challenges you can do in Hollywood, which is transition from being a comedic actor to being a serious actor, and I'm really prideful of that. I could have made $1 billion doing every big comedy of the last 10 years and didn't, in order to form a whole other life for myself. Now I have fulfillment doing both." The authors of the article then wrote, "That being the case though, you'd think he'd be able to relax a little bit, open up, take it easy." Once again, Jonah is in a situation
What
where
a
he
dumb
cannot win.
bitch.
The
Yeah.
interviewers expected him to act like the same goofy, raunchy character he played on screen because that's what people
They don't
associated
separate
him with.
it.
If he leaned into it, he'd just reinforce the exact
Yep.
stereotype he was trying to move
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
away from. But the moment he tried to take himself seriously, he came across as uptight and rude. Then again, some people think Jonah's attitude comes across like he is doing this Daniel Day-Lewis level method acting. He did 2 serious dramas at this point, and the rest were comedies. He still had a lot of work to do to prove his dynamic range as an actor. Jonah was so
Yeah,
determined.
but it still doesn't fucking matter. Just because you make a funny movie doesn't mean like people need to ask you what kind of farter you are. That's just fucking weird.
To be taken seriously that he
This is a
took a
great
minimum
movie.
salary of just $60,000 to play as Donnie alongside Leo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street. Not only did he know the movie would be a hit and help him build a new reputation in Hollywood, but he wanted to work with one of the greatest directors of all time, Martin Scorsese.
As far as Jonah Hill is concerned, yeah, I met him in Mexico, and he basically said to me, I know people like this. I know what these people represent in the culture. I've met people like this, and there's nobody on earth that should play this character except for me. I'm the man for this job. And I said, no, I hear you. He's like, no, you don't understand.
It was like a mix of like goofy and like, I don't know, smart Alec, I guess. It was like a super smart Alec character.
This is my favorite script I have ever read in my life.
Yeah, it's
and
funny.
I'm destined to play this. So I
Destined to
immediately
play
called
this.
Marty. Said, there's an actor out there that, really feels like they're the person for the job. But I think Marty met him a week later, and I heard it
I haven't
was one of the
seen
best
it. It's
meetings
funny. You
he'd
should
ever
watch
had
it.
with an actor, and
It's
hired
a
him kind of
stupid
on the
funny
spot.
movie.
And And in a lot of ways, Jonah Hill set the tone for
Like
this
drama,
film. I think he really
funny.
is one of the most unbelievably talented improvisational actors I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with, and took scenes and directions.
Yeah, the Quaalude scene was like partially like pretty much like the Quaalude scene at the house, not the one where he's trying to get into the car. Apparently that one was improvised to shit, and it came out so funny.
Never even thought possible.
Donnie is probably in contention with being Jonah's most memorable performance next to Superbad.
It takes a lot of skill
Although
to do
Wolf
that,
of Wall
do
Street
improv,
is a
like,
comedy, Jonah approached the role with a level of
feeling.
commitment that went beyond just being the funny side character. He fully leaned into the world of the film, making you believe he truly was this desperate, greedy, power-hungry, twisted businessman who was constantly on hard drugs.
Yeah.
But again, more fame meant more attention from the media, who wanted to push him to his
journos.
limits. Except this time, he would have to make a formal apology for his actions. On May 30th, 2014, Jonah Hill was walking through the streets of Los Angeles as two paparazzi followed him.
You got me there. Look, he's vindicated. Paparazzi harassing you. That's great. Yeah. No, yep.
Him.
I like
Great
the shorts,
start.
though, bro. They are pretty sexy.
Oh my god.
For the next minute or so, they
Leave
followed
him
behind
alone,
him,
bro.
not saying much, but filming and taking pictures.
They're
Typical annoying
parasites, bro.
paparazzi. However, at the end of the interaction, Jonah called the cameraman the homophobic F-slur.
Jesus Christ.
Have a good day.
Oh
Enjoy.
my god.
Oh, a real bully.
Dude.
At the time,
Oh,
many-
a real bully! You're harassing him! You're harassing
Many
him!
of Jonah's fans defended him, suggesting the paparazzi were annoying stalkers. But
I
Jonah
just called you
decided to
the
use
British
some
word for
time on his Jimmy
cigarettes,
Fallon
bro.
appearance to apologize for using the word.
You know, I didn't mean it in a homophobic way. I think that doesn't matter. You know, how you mean things doesn't matter. Words have weight and meaning. And the word I chose was grotesque. And, you know,
Yeah, for grotesque behavior, bro. They're literally stalking you and harassing you.
no one deserves to say or hear.
I'm sure a gay person would do the fucking exact same thing, bro. Like, I'd be willing to bet money there's someone in my chat or my YouTube comments that's gay, and if they were being harassed, like, actually followed and just being like these little freaking parasites buzzing around them, they would fucking call them in a fucking heartbeat, bro.
Words like that. I've been
They do it in a
supporter of the
heartbeat.
LGBTQ community my entire life,
100%.
and I completely let the members
gay
of that
people
community
give
and
him the
everybody else
pass for
down
that
when I
one.
used a word like that this weekend.
Apology accepted. He seemed to be very genuine. That was very responsible and mature of him. Instead of discussing his upcoming film, 22 Jump Street, many mainstream programs were refocused onto his controversy. When speaking with Howard Stern, Hill said, "I think I'm pretty good at making movies, but I am not good at being a famous person."
That's fair.
After 22 Jump Street grossed over $330 million at the worldwide box office, Jonah Hill had officially stamped his legacy as one of the best comedic actors of the early 2000s and 2010s. It
Yeah.
seemed like everything he was cast in became an
That's
absolute
not a great
smash hit,
picture
but he still
of
had
that
moments
girl.
where he felt like he had to call out disrespect from the media. In a confrontation live on French television, the female co-host made frequent references to Jonah Hill getting sodomized in his movie This Is the End. As he received the translations through an earpiece, the host continued with another joke about a fantasy she had about Hill, saying, "We would meet up in a hotel room at night. We would chat, you'd make me laugh, then all of a sudden, you'd bring your friends DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and then you'd go away."
That's fucking weird. And again, I feel like if the roles were reversed and Jonah was the girl and he like it was the guy interviewing them, this would be so cringe. Like a million times more cringe.
Implying
Yeah,
that
say
he
that
was
to a
too
woman,
unattractive
yeah.
for her to sleep with him. In response, Jonah
Well,
said,
not only that, it's like fucking weird, man.
"I'm glad I came on this show to get ridiculed by your local weather girl. It initially appeared
That is such a soft retort, too.
that Jonah was simply laughing the joke off and sending friendly shots back, but his response
Jesus
was completely
Christ.
genuine. And after, he canceled all future media appearances he was scheduled for in France. The interviewer eventually apologized on camera with the statement, "Jonah, the problem is that for 10 years I have lived with you through your films.
Parasocial, bro.
In fact, Jonah, I really had the impression that I knew you. So last
That's parasocial.
Friday, I thought I was just messing around with a
Parasocial.
friend. But the reality is that we are not friends.
Yep, you're parasocial.
This once again reinforces the friendly, buddy-buddy image a comedic actor is expected to maintain in the eyes of the general public. Jonah is expected to be able to take a joke at his expense and shoot the with anyone who feels like calling him fat or ugly. But when he cracks back or tries to correct them, he's the problem.
You're a bad
First of all,
guy.
you smell good, which is surprising.
Why is that
I
surprising?
don't know. I just wouldn't think of a guy who would have a nice scent on, and it
That's
seems
such
you
a,
do.
like, I'm gonna really work hard to not take that as a shot. You know what I mean? Like, because I think you would smell nice.
A 2016 article best describes the sort of limbo that Jonah was stuck in. Despite establishing himself as a legitimate actor worthy of Oscar recognition, he was not taken seriously in the eyes of the public. The hilarious sidekick roles make up a numerically small but neon bright portion of Hill's career, and no number of contrasting performances can seem to override the public impression of him as a man who might, at any moment, start humping the furniture. Unfortunately for Jonah, the public's perception of him would never change. His desire for approval as a serious actor, paired with his inability to manage the stress of stardom, led him to moving away from the silver screen and stepping behind the camera, focusing more on writing and directing. His first major film he directed in 2018 was called Mid-90s, which was an awesome debut. It is a coming-of-age film about youth skateboard culture in Los Angeles in the 90s. It wasn't a box office banger, but most definitely a classic that I and many other skate fans thoroughly enjoyed.
Has anybody
he hadn't
seen
stepped
this?
away from acting
Looks
entirely,
decent.
but his new focus allowed him to fade from the public view while remaining a part of the creative process he fell in love with. His shift in
Mixtape IRL? Yeah, but like actually good and well written. Like, yeah, coming of age with skateboards. Yeah, but actually well written.
career direction also
crazy.
marked a willingness to be more
I know,
open
would've
about his
thought.
insecurities and the difficulty he faced early in his career.
I became famous in my late teens and then spent most of my young adult life listening to people say that I was fat and unattractive. And it's only in the last 4 years writing and directing my movie Mid-90s that I've started to understand how much that hurt. I really believe everyone has a snapshot of themselves from a time when they were young that they're ashamed of. For me, it's that 14-year-old overweight and unattractive kid who felt ugly to the world and wanted so badly to be accepted by this community of skaters.
However, even as he stepped away from the big screen, his physical appearance
And again, it loses even more weight. Okay, who cares?
remained a top
I never understood this. Like, I understand the paparazzi provide information or stupid news articles that like people want to read, but like I never understood this, like being obsessed with like fucking like celebrities' weight. Never understood it. Even when I was a kid, I'd see it like in the stores and
late 2010s were
shit.
plagued with articles discussing Jonah's weight, and it appeared that there
Look
was
at me,
nothing
so
he could
fat
do without it
now.
being brought
Okay,
up.
who
One of the best
cares?
examples of this is the Daily Mail. It has been documented that Jonah had lost 40 pounds after he stopped drinking beer, a decision
That's
he
crazy.
made all the
That's
way
good
back
for
in
him.
2016. The Daily Mail would consistently find ways to shoehorn this fact into any article they could, regardless of its relation. Jonah
Is still looking trim.
Making a quick stop at the coffee shop, they wrote, he lost 40 pounds when he cut out beer in 2016. Surfing with some friends, they wrote, Jonah Hill pulls down his wetsuit in Malibu to show off his bare chest.
What the fuck are these titles, man?
Filled with several large tattoos after losing 40 pounds. And after years of this, Jonah responded to a 2021 Daily Mail article once again about his body while he was at the beach surfing. I don't think I ever took my shirt off in a pool until I was in my mid-30s, even in front of family and friends. Probably would have happened sooner if my childhood insecurities weren't exacerbated by years of public mockery about my body by press and interviewers.
Yeah, and that gets to you when you're like an adult, and even though you've lost weight, you still feel weird.
So the idea
Yeah,
that the
I get
media
it.
tries to play me by stalking me while surfing and printing photos like
So
this and it
weird.
can't faze me anymore is dope. As tragic as Jonah's history of ridicule was, it was nice to see that he had finally made peace with himself and his image. He continued to embrace this new image with a body positivity tattoo and became a cultural symbol for self-love. However, this was a double-edged sword. It wasn't just negative comments that bothered Jonah, but even positive comments about his appearance were deeply upsetting to him. I know you mean well, but I kindly ask you not to comment on my body. Good or bad, I want to politely let you know it's not helpful and doesn't feel good. Much respect.
That's fair,
It was
I
only a
guess.
matter of time before all of this would compound. And Jonah would
But
announce
then, I mean, it's tough because it's like he made a whole tattoo about body positivity and then people complimenting him is bad. I mean, at least he's asking nicely. He's not being like all entitled.
A departure from the public eye to manage and deal with what he describes as a 20-year battle with severe anxiety attacks. It was clear that Jonah had become much more vulnerable in the latter half of his career. He had spent years being ridiculed for one of his deepest insecurities, but was now exposing his most sensitive struggles for the world to see with new confidence. This was thanks in large part to his commitment to therapy and relationship with his therapist, Dr. Phil Stutz. Jonah was so deeply impacted by this that he documented himself attending real therapy sessions in a documentary titled Stutz. The film seeks to normalize therapy and introduce those who may be skeptical of the process. Dr. Stutz discusses a concept he describes as tools, which are essentially coping mechanisms and mental habits you can utilize in moments of stress and discomfort. These tools are the backbone of the documentary's narrative, and Jonah emphasizes their importance in helping him manage the many stresses of his life. However, it would come to light that Jonah hadn't entirely used these tools for good, and he would be accused of weaponizing the lessons he learned in therapy to control and manipulate his ex-girlfriend. Jonah Hill made viral headlines in July of 2023 when his ex-girlfriend Sarah Brady exposed text messages he had sent to her 2 years earlier. Shortly after, he revealed that he and his current girlfriend were having a child. Plain and simple, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you.
I do not.
If these things bring
I'm not one to like remember like a lot of celebrity gossip and drama.
to a place of happiness, I support it, and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you are based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. Two things in particular stand out. Number one, Sarah is both a professional surfer and model, and Jonah specifically tries to restrict her ability to do those things to continue their relationship. It's also worth considering that Sarah had been doing both of these things prior to when the two started dating in 2021.
Yeah.
Almost immediately into the relationship, Jonah began making subtle implications that he was uncomfortable with her lifestyle. He writes, "Oh, and modeling, which is the last profession I would be with as a partner." She replies, "Well, maybe you should have asked me more about what I do for work before you decided to date me then." Jonah,
I think that she's part in the right of her. If you get into like a girl that cosplays and then you get mad at her and tell her to stop, then why did you fucking get into a relationship with a girl that's literally showing off her body and being pretty? Yeah, like I don't understand that. I don't.
replies, "Keep taking me for granted." He sarcastically continues, "Go model. It's a fulfilling life. You'll love it. Real depth and substance and sustainability for
Yeah, I would have dropped his ass like Insta, be like, real depth and substance. Okay, if it's not for you, like, not that I would ever model, but I'm just saying, like, if I was in her shoes, being this weird and like passive aggressive, sarcastic, I'd just be like, nah, I'm out of here.
relationships.
I get
but
it.
actually, I'm done with this convo. Besides his seemingly insecure and petty attitude, much of the discussion was surrounding the usage of the word boundaries. Many felt as though Jonah was misusing the word entirely. On the surface, it sounds like he's being self-aware, like he's calmly communicating what he needs in a relationship and trying to avoid conflict. It frames him as someone who's being honest about difficult topics instead of lashing out or controlling someone outright, and that's what caused many men online to rush to his defense.
Yeah, he's insecure. Yeah. But like, he's not saying like you can't be a human being. He's like, I wish you well. I just personally don't want you posting your ass on Instagram. I just personally don't want you.
Okay, but then don't get into a relationship with a chick like this. That's what's the problem. If she was like not a model and then she started modeling and then like showing off her ass on Instagram, I would be on his side. I'd be like, yeah, okay, like it kind of came out of nowhere. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Going on these little surf dates with other men. I just personally don't want a partner that's gonna do that. And if you need to do that, you go for it. I wish you
knew
the
what
best.
you were gonna get
You got
into.
it. But I can't have that.
I think he did a pretty good job. My boundaries are this. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Isn't that what we wanted? People to express themselves? people to be able to just say what they want, not keep that.
That's fine. Again, I wish it was with the context that we're given. I feel like he's the one that's in the wrong. Sorry.
Inside, not bottle up. That's what he did. Now, Sarah has a choice to stay or to get. That's it.
However, others interpret Jonah's words entirely the opposite way. Instead of setting boundaries on his own behavior, he's outlining restrictions on hers, what she can wear, who she can be around, and even the career she had before they met. So while it's packaged as vulnerability and communication, it can also be interpreted as him attempting to pressure her into changing her lifestyle to surrender to his expectations.
Yeah.
Sarah also shares a text.
And again, shoes on the other foot, it's a dude that's hot and he models. And he's a surfer, and there's clearly a lot of girls that are just like unironically jerking their meat to him, right? I just think, like, then why are you dating her? Like, or dating him in that case? Like, it goes both ways. Like, sorry, it's not gonna work out.
Conversation shortly after an argument. She voices her frustration at the restraint she feels in the relationship, noting that she was constantly trying to avoid an uncomfortable situation or argument. She looks for reassurance from him, describing her insecurity that he would eventually leave her. However, Jonah responded with hostility and passive aggressiveness. You're right, we can't do surf social things or develop trust until you consider me and make decisions that give regard to our relationship. I have been as vulnerable as possible, and I'm telling you I am needing you to step up to the plate, which you can, I am sure of it, but these losers don't get your time if you want me. Straight up, it's consideration. If you want marriage and family, you can't use the 25 card. Step up and
25 years old?
These people don't get your time or your kindness at the sacrifice of minds. It was also revealed that Jonah was forcing Sarah to remove pictures or videos he found to be inappropriate from her social media, once again saying, I've made my boundaries clear, and using degrading language like, it's not my place to teach you. It appears that Jonah would constantly give Sarah
so I don't know, it's like control freak vibes.
An ultimatum: delete these pictures, don't hang out with these people, or you don't respect me and I'll break up with you. He consistently brings up that Sarah does not respect him when it doesn't read like he has much respect for her either. Take some accountability.
They're just not made for each other. And again, this is all dirty laundry that's getting aired out to us, the public. Like, you think that fucking normal people don't have stupid fucking arguments like this?
Operate with respect. It's that simple. F that contest, F that place, and F not respecting me in every situation within surf culture, or you don't get it, and you don't get me. It's hurtful and unacceptable to me. All of this seriously begs the question why he would start dating someone who clearly doesn't live a lifestyle that conforms to his own.
I have
Why
no
would
idea.
he choose to date a bikini-wearing surfer with allegedly tons of toxic friends if they violated his boundaries?
Yeah.
It came across to many that he was extremely insecure and trying to change a woman who he was likely not compatible with. Others that defend Jonah see this as nothing more than clear communication. He's being blunt and maybe a bit hostile, but he is angry, and we all get angry.
But the premise is that he already knew what he was getting into. Like, what?
And others see his communication as calculated usage of therapy speak. Dude's a prime example of someone who learned just enough therapy speak to weaponize it against
At least it wasn't like Amber Heard or something, bro. Like, I think he's being passive aggressive and being dumb, but like, I think there's worse.
others. Geez, you don't have
he's being a
boundaries,
dick.
you're just a controlling
Show.
This was easily the
Amber
biggest
Turd.
controversy of Jonah's career, with countless media outlets labeling his behavior as abusive. However, even those who were opposed to the way Jonah was speaking to his girlfriend...
I don't think it's a crime, I just don't think that he should speak to her like that, and they're not made for each other, so break up.
were quick to say that this was not abuse. Insecure, yes. Rude, yes. Toxic, potentially, but not abuse. This created a PR disaster for Jonah, but he chose to stay silent in regards to the situation. However, he did respond through his lawyers after Zoe 101 actress Alexa Nicholas accused Jonah Hill of shoving her against a door and kissing her without her consent when she was 16 years old and he was 24. His attorney, Marty Singer, responded calling Alexa's accusations a complete fabrication accusation, adding that it never happened and that she was a serial accuser who has made assorted accusations against multiple men in the entertainment industry. Jonah has continued his separation from the spotlight and hasn't made any form of public.
But was there any evidence of that, or was it just her saying it?
Since the call out. Still to this
Did
day,
anybody else
most of what
see
you
it?
see from him is paparazzi capturing photos of him on the streets of Los Angeles, still commenting on his weight loss whenever they see him looking different. He recently made headlines again after being pictured looking completely unrecognizable, although it's worth clarifying he was on set for a movie he's starring in. Jonah
Yeah, but the wig is like throwing me off.
Hill's Hollywood legacy is a strange one. He's undeniably
That's
one
a
of the
crazy
iconic
wig.
comedic actors of his generation, responsible for hilarious performances that have lasted decades, yet the conversation around him rarely stays focused on his work for long. It always drifts back to his body, his personality, his relationships, anything but the thing that made people pay attention to him in the first place. And no matter what version of himself he presents, there's always a reason to critique it. If he leans into comedy, he's unserious. If he tries to evolve, he's pretentious. If he speaks his mind, he's toxic. And if he stays quiet, he's guilty. And that's the uncomfortable reality of his career. To a lot of people, Jonah Hill just can't do anything right. But at least he gave the world some amazing comedy films. That stretch of early 2000s comedy movies was one of the greatest runs in history. But now, comedies are dead. But check out this video if you want to hear how that happened.
Comedy's dead. Video games are dead. Nothing's funny anymore. My dopamine receptors are fried. True. True and real. Anyway, a little tidbit. Yeah. I was on his side for most of the video. Yeah, I'm confused about the 16-year-old and shit and that stuff, but that's bad if it's true, obviously, but they didn't elaborate much on it. Comedy's dulled down? Yeah, because you're not allowed to be funny anymore. It's like a crime now, even though it's literally not. You know, can't point out funnies. Ha 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 ha. No comedy allowed. Media's dead. Nah, there's still funny streamers out there.
For you.